listening to TrawlCast.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to TrawlCast. This is Season 3, Episode 3. My name is Sean Matthews.
And I'm Seth McClellan.
Tonight, we were joined by the one and only TJ Washburn. He is the singer of the band In the Kingdom of Nightmares. You'll hear us call them ITCON. It's their acronym throughout this interview. Really nice dude, man. He's done a lot of stuff. He's been in the music scene for a long time. He hosts a podcast about like movies and entertainment and like art type stuff. He's also an author, Seth. Like
TJ is just the salt of the earth. We've both known him for a long time. He's been a part of the Central Maine metal scene for many, many years. You know him well from In the Kingdom of Nightmares. He was also in former projects like Tomorrow's Tragedy and Salvo. Just a great dude, really fun to talk to. We talked a little bit about kind of how he got started as a metal vocalist, or just a vocalist in general, and then specifically metal. We talked a little bit about his writing and just about, being in a band in general and the scene and just kind of like the things that we go through. There's been some tragedy lately in the past few years and more recently. And the just kind of remembering the camaraderie and kind of what's important.
it was a really good time. And yeah, speaking of the tragedies, Justin Smith, a good friend of the Maine metal scene, recently passed away, and we send our thoughts and good positive energy towards his family and whatnot. So we hope he found peace and can rest in power, as we like to say up here in Maine.
Absolutely.
Couple other things I want to touch on before we get to the interview. A couple episodes ago, my dumbass, I had read an article, Seth, just before we had started recording, and we were talking about our now spinning segment, and
yeah.
I mistakenly, like an idiot, called Snapcase a West Coast hardcore band. I'm an idiot. I was reading about their West Coast tour, the California Takeover. They're from Buffalo, New York. I'm a fucking moron, so I apologize to Snapcase and to all the listeners who probably were screaming at their phones, computers, whatever they were listening to when I said that. I screwed up. That was completely and utterly my fault. I had read an article in I can't even remember. It was Revolver or something to that effect online, and it was about their California takeover that they had. It was them, Earth Crisis, and Strife, I believe, and I call them a West Coast hardcore. I'm an idiot. I'm just going to say that right out loud.
Dude, it's all good. Yeah,
they're from Buffalo.
Yeah. When we talk about bands and when we do now spinning, there's like a little bit more pressure because we want to get the facts right. And a lot of times we're just talking about like what we've literally been listening to lately. And sometimes we'll go to the extent of like, going on the Wikipedia and like making sure that we got, dates and names correctly. And other times we don't have time to like research it. So we're just kind of shooting from the hip. And I know I've definitely done it.
Well, and I wanted to clarify that because I went off about it, and then I realized I just recently listened to the episode, and I was like, wait a second, they're not from, and I looked back at my notes, and I kind of went back in my history on my computer, and I was literally reading a bunch of articles about hardcore bands and the California Takeover and like a bunch of stuff, and I got all my wires crossed. So I apologize, Snapcase. I love you. Please don't hate me. And second thing I want to bring up, ladies and gentlemen, the what the fuck question is now on Spotify. You can answer that on Spotify. There's a little button at the bottom of our episode. I don't know if it's at the bottom, but it's in our episode. If you click on it, you'll see there's a button that'll actually let you answer the what the fuck question. Every episode, we will now put the what the fuck question in there so you can answer it. If we, find some good ones, we'll pin them up so other people can see them. We'll read some off maybe in future episodes, but if you want to add to the fun of TrawlCast. All you got to do is find an episode, like the most recent one for sepsis. There's actually just below, or the button that says play, a Q&A button. So you can answer our what the fuck question every week. And we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, that would be really cool. We have a fun time doing that. I know I'm always like thrown off and surprised. It's just fun, but it's always something that like we try to ask people conscientious and like, smart questions, like, really dig into their what they've been doing and what they've done in the past. But the what the fuck question is our time to just ask something totally off the wall, just for fun. And a lot of times we get to know people a little bit better through that because like, there's no set answer for some of these things. And it's just like
Right.
whatever you come and I don't know, like I've had fun doing it, even though it puts me out of my comfort zone. But they say life starts at the end of your comfort zone. So
Very much so. Well, and
yeah.
I like doing it because not only does it kind of, there's a script per se when you get certain answers. When you get interviewed by somebody and you're a band, the talking points. Sometimes you don't want to go too far in one direction to piss somebody off, but you know what the general talking points can be. And the what the fuck questions kind of just a way to relax. I also have been trying as of late to make it a little bit more interview or episode specific. So last episode with sepsis, I wanted to know, because they're a touring band, what their favorite on the go snack was. This week with TJ, well, you're just going to have to listen to find out.
So we had a super fun interview with TJ. Hope you guys enjoy it. Here's a track from In the Kingdom of Nightmares. Check them out.
TJ, thank you so much for joining us tonight on TrawlCast. We really appreciate it. Now, as a longtime member of like the Central Maine metal scene, as a vocalist for, In the Kingdom of Nightmares and Tomorrow's Tragedy, Salvo, can you tell us about like your love for metal, how it began and how it evolved and became what it is now, and what made you decide I'm a singer, like this is where I'm going? And
so it's kind of it's a long story, but it's short. So I can, short-ish, So like I grew up in a family of not necessarily musicians, but like everybody in my family listened to music. My dad was really into classic rock. My mom loved old school country. My sisters are all quite a bit older than me. One is 16 years older than me. One is 15 years older than me. And one is 8 years older than me. So like my older sisters were really into like bands like Boston, stuff like that. So I kind of got, dosed with the rock stuff.
right.
And they also were, big fans of like early 80s stuff like Huey Lewis, the Cars, things like that. My sister that's closest in age to me, she listened to a lot of that stuff, but she also listened to bands like Twisted Sister and Def Leppard and stuff like that. So I kind of got all this music at me at a really young age. So I always kind of listened to everything. And then in fourth grade, I was hanging out with the kids that were like 2 years older than me. So they were in middle school and they all skateboarded. And that's when I first heard heavy music. I'd go up and watch those guys skateboard, being like, I want to do this. And they'd be listening to like Slayer and Suicidal Tendencies and Anthrax, Metallica, and this was like, 86, 87, when that stuff was really like hitting its prime.
Yeah.
And so that kind of introduced me to that. And then in sixth grade, it was kind of a weird thing for me. I discovered the Misfits, who are to this day my favorite band of all time. I also discovered Stephen King at that time in horror movies. So like that stuff all meshed together for me at that one time. And I was like, this is really cool. I think I'd like to, I'd like to play in a band. And in seventh grade, I was in music and I played the baritone, and
Yep.
but I really wanted to play drums, but I have absolutely no rhythm. I am as white as they come when it comes to rhythm. I got man. And so they were doing like a talent show for career day type thing, and we all picked a song. So my buddy James was like, let's do Ice Ice Baby by Vanilla Ice. I'm dating myself here, And so I was like, sure, I'll do it. So we got up and everybody in the class was supposed to do a song. Well, I was the only one that didn't have stage fright. So James and I got up and did Ice Ice Baby, and then nobody else would come up. So my music teacher was like, all these songs, sing them. So I sang them very terribly in front of the whole school, but it was like the greatest thing ever.
That's awesome.
For me, it was terrible, but it was awesome, at the same time. And that was like when I was like, I want to be a singer. Flash forward to freshman year of high school, I got Cowboys from Hell by Pantera. And I heard Phil singing, and I was like, holy shit, what is this? I was like, they're just raw, powerful vocals, but the dude could sing. And I was like, that was when I was like, okay, I definitely want to be a singer. And then you flash forward like 2 more years, and I saw Sam Black Church for the first time live. And I saw Jet on stage just being the absolute madman that he is.
He's a maniac,
And I was like, I'm going to be a singer after that show, and that's kind of where it started from,
Nice.
That's cool. And I would say Sam Black Church, I know definitely was when I was in high school, like I think that was their prime era, like late 90s.
Yeah, this was like 95 for me. So they were playing at the Penny Post in Old Town, or Heavies at the time.
Right.
And it was them and Tree, a band called Porn Star, and a band called 720 that played that show. And I still remember it so vividly because the place was packed. You couldn't move. And I remember getting back from that show and not being able to walk for 2 days from being in the pit and just getting and it was one of those like people have those moments where it's like that was for me is musically that was a life-changing experience for me.
Yeah, I'd say when I was in school, Sam Black Church, Tree, like stuff like Gangsta Bitch Barbie. Like there were so many things that, like, looking back on my high school and stuff, like things that people listen to. Like my high school I went to school in Windham, so it was like this weird, like we had metalheads, but they listened to weird metal. Like Honky Ball was huge in Windham High School. Sam Black Church was huge. Tree was enormous. Like there were so many bands, and like you'd go try to find them, and they didn't really have CDs. They'd have like EPs made up that they shipped to Bull Moose. You got them from Bull Moose for like $4, and it was like, these are awesome. And then you couldn't go to the shows because most of the time it was 21 plus, or it was a VFW like 6.5 hours away, and you're like, God, I just want to go see these guys just destroy this place.
Yeah. Oh no, I feel you there. We had Strawberries. We didn't even have Bull Moose in Bangor at that time.
Oh yeah.
I go to Strawberries to get all my stuff.
I remember the first time I got a Honky Ball CD. I was like, what the fuck is this? And then Bruce Lee came on, and I was like, oh, nice.
I discovered so much music randomly during that time because like most people our age, Columbia House and BMG, the buy one, get 10 free.
You got a penny. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. We've talked about that before. Like
probably between the three of us, there's probably about $18,000 worth like owed to them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Because I would just keep, like everybody did, you would sign up, cancel, sign up again, cancel, sign up, cancel. Just keep using slightly different variations.
Get a subscription in the dog's name, get one.
Yeah.
Like
I had everybody's name twice, and then like middle names, and then like third cousins twice removed name. Oh yeah, I did that. I know.
But the thing with that was like for those youngsters that are listening, this was way before the internet. So it was impossible to hear a lot of these bands. I always went by the cool cover art. or the band name. That's how I discovered Biohazard, who's one of my favorite bands to this day.
Yes.
You know, Sick of It All. Just, you know, a lot of bands like that I discovered by accident because the covers look really badass. And I was like, oh, that sounds like a cool band name and the cover's badass. I'm going to get that, you know?
I had friends that were somewhat like you, where they'd find weird shit based on name, artwork, like song title was cool. So they'd check it out and they're like, this is awesome. And then I'd be like, hey, I'm kind of in a rut. Like, I need some new music. And then all of a sudden, like, I'd have like a Sick of It All, like mixed CD or mixed tape back then.
Yeah.
And like all this stuff that people would just be giving me. Like, that's how I got into the band Shelter. Like, all these bands were just random. Like, here's a mixed CD of like 35 songs. They're all different. If you like one, let me know and I'll tell you what the band is and what album it is so you can go buy it. And that's how I learned about a lot of bands.
My buddies used to do the same thing, man. They'd give me like a tape with DRI and Suicidal Tendencies and like Nuclear Assault and bands like that on it. It would just be like, so you were just getting like inundated with all this new music all the time, and it was cool because it was the only place you were going to hear it is like the tape trading type thing. And it would do the same thing for them, you know.
Definitely goes to show like word of mouth, especially in those days before the internet, before streaming, before downloads. It was just all about, like you said, tape trading, word of mouth. You know, you'd hear some stuff on the radio, but a lot of that stuff wasn't on the radio. So you really just had to kind of know about it or discover it through friends or stuff like that.
A lot of times too, I know for me, a lot of times it would be a guy or a girl. They'd come into school, like we'd go to math class and they'd sit down and I'd be reading like the back of their shirt. And I'm like, what is this Sepultura? Like, what the fuck is this? And they're like, oh, you need this one, you need this one, you need this. And they'd give me a bunch of CDs to listen to. I'd come home.
My friend Ben gave me Beneath the Remains, a dubbed copy of that. And I was just like, holy shit, what is this? You know?
And that's how I learned about a ton of bands was the tape trade and T-shirts. Like, it's as weird as that sounds. Like, I'd be like, what is this band? You know, Earth Crisis. Like, what? And then you're like, this is fucking amazing. Like, okay, I don't understand the animal liberation at first, and then you get into it, and you're like, okay, I get it now. But that's how I like Zayo. I'll be honest, Zayo I found because a friend of mine had the Where Blood and Fire CD cover, that shirt, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? That's awesome. And he's like, oh, it's this band Zayo. And then he gave me a copy of the CD, and I was like, oh my God. Thank you. Thank you.
The other cool thing too is like in high school, I know like my friends ended up being the people who I connected with over music. Like, you definitely like found your tribe by you know, just kind of like connecting over music, which is, I don't know if that's still a thing and I'd be interested to see if like today's kids, if that's still the thing. I don't know if as though it is, but you know.
I from my son's perspective, I don't think it is because he wears it's also weird though, because my oldest son, who just turned 17, he wears a lot of local band shirts. Like, he has a Thy Enemy shirt, a Devil's Night Out shirt, a Trawl shirt. Like, he has all these local bands, and no one ever asks about him. It's like, what the fuck is that? Like, what is Cross the Divide? What does that mean? And it's like, it's a really cool band out of New Hampshire. Like, no one, because they're all about, you know, the mumble rappers and the, you know, SoundCloud musicians that, you know, they can just go on and search for random stuff. And they use the algorithms a lot of the time. Because I know Connell, he listens to weird stuff. He'll listen to everything I listen to. And we introduce him stuff all the time. I actually just introduced to him, it was probably like 2-3 weeks ago, Rob Zombie and like White Zombie. And he's like, this is kind of cool. I was like, yeah. And that's now cool. He's into Rob Zombie and White Zombie. So
nice.
My 11-year-old is kind of the same way. She loves metal. Like, all the time she'll be like, can we listen to metal? But she loves like Melody Martinez and Lady Gaga and you know, stuff like that. And she listens to a lot of like K-pop, and it's really weird. Like, I hope she's getting a dose of everything, and she kind of, you know, I want her to listen. I mean, it would be cool if she got really into metal, but at the same time, I want her to find her thing too, you know. but it's weird because everything is so readily available now. And I think I've noticed, at least with her, maybe it's the age, maybe it's just the instant availability, but the attention spans with artists and bands is very, very short.
Yeah.
You know?
That's very true. I think that's like a huge fundamental change in music in general, as far as like that whole attention span thing, because like now it's like it's all about a song, or even like with like TikTok, it's about a chorus or some catchy phrase, a hook, and then that's what's cool today. And then next week, oh, my friends aren't talking about that anymore. That's not cool. Like, let's move on. There isn't as much of this kind of like legacy, you know, loyalty to the artist that you love. I think it's like just all about, do they have something that's cool this week?
I was going to say, I think it also depends on how that child's or parental unit is like working together. So my youngest loves Imagine Dragons, and he has 3 or 4 CDs by them. He follows them pretty heavily when it like he'll go onto YouTube and he'll look them up, and he, burns through all their stuff, anything. And, we'll be like, oh, they got a new CD out. And he goes, well, I'll save up to get it. And like my oldest, he's been a fan of Lindsey Sterling, the violinist, for, geez, probably like 10 years now. He's been a fan of hers. And he, it's one of those things. He follows her, but he's not like, I got to get her new album. It's coming out. I got to get her t-shirt. I got to go to the tour. Like, he was that way with it, Asking Alexandria. And we took him to 2 or 3 shows, and, he still likes them. He's just, I think it's one of those things where he's kind of grown kind of away from that, and he's finding more of what his niche is. Yeah. And it's also like I said, we introduce him to weird shit all the time. I started playing Snot the other day in the car, and he goes,
nice.
What the fuck is this? I was like, you shut your mouth and listen.
So if you really think about, like, with us, we only had a limited selection of music too, man. So like for the longest time, back in the day when we were in middle school and high school, $20 was a lot for a friggin' CD. So yeah. I'd have my $20, from my part-time job, and I'd be like, all right, I can buy 1, maybe 2 CDs, like this month. And you would sit and you would go through everything and, like, what am I going to buy? So when you found those bands you really dug, you tended to gravitate towards them. And I think you got obsessed with them because you knew that was a lot of money for that CD, and I'm going to listen to this until it wears out because I've only got like 15 other CDs to listen to.
Right. True.
I would get on those kicks where it'd be like I would just listen to Slayer for, like weeks at a time, or the Misfits for weeks at a time. And that's carried over even into my adult years. Like I go into those moments where, I do pretty aggressive music, but I love 80s music, man. I love and Duran Duran and the Cars. Yeah. I love new wave. I love early 80s new wave soundtrack music, that I grew up on. Yeah. But I have a tendency even to this day to get obsessed with that stuff where that's like all I will listen to for like a month. And then I'm listening to death metal. And then I have those phrases where I put my playlist on random, and it's shocking from what it goes to from, it's Cannibal Corpse one moment, then it's Beethoven, then it's Johnny Cash, then it's, then it's Sepultura, then it's, Sick of It All, Hate, whatever, It's
Same here.
You're preaching to the choir on that one.
Yeah,
I love the conversations where people are like, oh, what kind of music are you into? And you're like, yes. That's it. That's the answer. Yes, I like music.
When most people say they like all types of music, and you're like, oh, cool. Well, have you heard the new Cannibal? What the hell is that? It's like, no, you don't like all types of music.
You just like these 5, and that's a lot to you.
Or whereas the stuff that's on the radio, which is all of a certain level of consumption that most of your general audience is going to get. But there's a lot of fringe genres that never even hit the radio.
Absolutely, yeah.
Hey, what's up? This is John from Alliance. You're listening to Seth and Sean on TrawlCast.
Obviously, you've been part of the metal scene a long time with all your projects. Do you have like a favorite era, or is there like a moment in time or like a run of years that you look back on as like the good old days of it, or do you just like live for the next thing that like you get to do, and as far as being a vocalist?
Both, and I'll explain this. Okay, so I was 24 before I played my first like real show. I had been in bands for 6, 7 years, and we played my drummer's girlfriend's Sweet 16 party in one band I was in, and it was like covers. Wasn't really a real show. So I kind of look back on, there are moments that will always stand out to me. There was the especially with Tomorrow's Tragedy, because two of the members of that band have passed away and they're not with us anymore. So, I think of some specific moments with that band, especially of just like the time we were playing a show in Holton and the light fixture almost fell over and like fell on top of one of the guitars from one of the out-of-state bands that was playing up there at the time. Even some memories that aren't so much stage related, but having the van door fall off on our band van while we're going down the road. The sliding door fell off while we were going down the road because it broke. It was 30 below zero, and my bass player went to open the door and it just kept going. So we put it back on and locked it. Well, the rule was you didn't unlock it. Somebody unlocked it. We were going and it wasn't sitting tight. We were driving down the road at 65 and it just came off. And at 2:00 in the morning, coming back from a show, things like that. And then we got to play we played the inaugural Oxfest. We
That's
also
right.
got to that was in the Kingdom of Nightmares. Got to play the initial Oxfest, which was really cool. But the one that was at the Wiscasset Speedway and walking out, and there's almost 11,000 people there walking out on stage, and it's just a sea. And that is the one time in my life I think I ever felt like a rock star. I walked out and I was just like, but it was weird because it wasn't like I'm a rock star. It was, I had this epiphany in my head. It's like, this is what I should be doing, man. This is my time to shine. And just, when you tell everybody to put their fucking horns in the air, and everybody does it and everybody's clapping along, dude, it was the biggest adrenaline rush I have ever had. Those moments really stick out for me. But I stopped playing after Salvo. I didn't really play in like a regular band for almost 7 years before Itcon got back together. So
Right, yeah.
So I took a long break because I got really burnt out, and there was a lot of stuff behind the scenes that most people don't know about. It wasn't anything bad, but it was like we had a chance to start going on tour. We had management. They wanted to start putting us out with like some fairly big name bands. And at the time I was 32, I'm like, dude, I've got a mortgage and a good job. And it's like, I can't go on the road for $50 and pizza every night. That's not even $50 for me. For people listening at home that may not know, that's $50 for the band. That's like gas money to get to the show. You're not guaranteed anything for yourself. And it would have been,
may not even be enough gas money to get to the next show.
No, exactly. Yeah.
You'd be relying on merch sales. And it was like, that was kind of why I got done with Salvo, because I was like, I don't want to hold you guys back. But it bummed me out really bad because I had been working so hard to get to that point that it was like, it really bummed me out. And that's kind of why I stopped playing for a long time. And
I can certainly understand that. Yeah.
Then a good friend of ours got murdered that we played a lot of shows with. Named Jason Moody, and
yes, that's right. Yeah,
Jason got murdered, and I was kind of getting the itch to play again, but that was the point where I was like, you know what? Playing music makes me happy. It's my release. It helps me get the anger out. I'm a pretty happy-go-lucky guy. I'm not the greatest at expressing emotions, and that's why I've always got my emotions out was on stage, and I really miss that. And it just happened to be that Gary had just moved back from Florida like the year before. So I called the guys up and was like, hey, what would you guys think about maybe getting back together and playing? And that was November of 2018, and we started practicing again in January of 2019, and we've been going at it hard since then. But we go at it, as we always joke around, we're a dad band now. You know, we take the music very seriously, and we have a lot of fun with it. But our days of playing, 10, 15 shows a month are long gone, because especially in tomorrow's tragedy, I think we played something like 250 shows in the 4 years we were a band.
Wow, that's a lot. It's a lot of gigs.
It was a lot working full-time jobs, doing that too. It was like, I was like, I can't do that anymore. If we can do like one a month, that's awesome. Two, if it's something really cool, but
that's Trawl pace right there. We usually play 1 or 2 gigs a month, when we're busy and active. I mean, obviously this past couple of years we had to take quite a bit of a break, but we've been, playing 1 or 2 a month. I'm looking forward to ramping it up a little bit.
I would say we've also taken the approach of we're not necessarily playing as many shows, and it's not because we don't want to. We're just trying to find better quality shows.
Yeah,
like I don't mind playing a VFW, but it's got to have some substance there. It's got to be like, there's guaranteed like 300 kids going to be there. I'll definitely, but if there's like 8 people, I get it. Where, you got to pay your dues, but playing some better quality than quantity has helped a lot. I mean, I feel.
I agree. I think, we're less burnt out, and it's about, at this point, fun to us, getting to record, make the music we want, but also having fun playing gigs. Don't just play those gigs that just fucking burn you out and make you not want to play music anymore, because we've all played a million of those gigs.
I don't miss those shows where we would get called the day before and be like, hey, a band dropped off. Do you guys want to come down and play? And we'd drive, from like, at the time we were based out of Milo. So we're like 40 miles north of Bangor. We would drive to Portland to play a show for 8 or 10 people, just because we just wanted to play as much as we could. And at that time, that was great for us because it really helped us perfect our live show. We had a good tight show, and that part of it was good. But, we were also all between the ages of like 18 and 24, 25 at the time.
Right.
So we were full of piss and vinegar and really, I don't need to sleep today. I'll go to work and work 10 hours tomorrow. On no sleep, I'm good. We used to do that all the time. And now it's like, what day is the show on? It's like, we pretty much mostly can only do Saturdays and, an occasional Friday if it's something cool,
Yeah, exactly. That's us too. If it's within an hour away, we'll do a Friday. But if it's 2 hours away, Fridays are hard because, everyone gets out of work at 5 o'clock and it's like hard to get anywhere for load in. But Saturdays we'll travel. We'll do whatever we need to do to, make it happen.
Yeah. Some of us have kids, so Saturdays are a little easier. You can just tranquilize them, leave them in the trunk with a window crack,
Right. I mean, and we're very lucky in ItCon that our jam space, we can do shows there too, and we usually get a decent turnout at our shows there. So for us, it's basically just a practice with a whole bunch of people, it's
right.
It makes it a little easier on us. And we, we do a decent amount of shows there, but our whole thing was we had just started really getting rolling again on doing shows, and then the pandemic hit and everything stopped. So last year, we were able to play 3 shows, but they were all pretty spread out, and they were all DIY type shows, that we didn't get to play any like actual club type shows.
I think I was my previous band was on one of those gigs.
Oh yeah. You were on the one we played in. I think it was August when it was like 110 degrees and super humid. That was
hotter than Satan's Taint in that place, dude. That's for those of you listening who don't know, it's not Whole Studios in Harmony, Maine. It's definitely one of the one of the friendliest friggin' places you could ever go to have a show. You can hang out, there's no drama, there's no bullshit, there's no beef. Everyone shows up, has a good time. It's a family atmosphere. I know I saw recently part of that metal family recently passed away. So, you
Yeah,
know, that's
our good buddy Justin passed away Friday.
yeah, that
He,
definitely. I've seen the posts and I'm still kind of in shock because he was the nicest guy ever and always give you a hug, say how you doing. He had great conversations. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
very very
I-
sorry to hear that, guys. Yeah, I didn't get to meet Justin, but sounded like a really stellar guy.
yeah, he was he came not every practice, but he was at a lot of ItCon and Thy Enemy's practices, and he came to every, not just shows at our place, but that dude went everywhere for shows, and
yeah.
he just, he was one of those he was one of those people you meet that just, he'd walk in and have the biggest smile on his face because
Oh,
he was
Jesus,
with,
yeah.
he was with his people. That was, part of his fam, I know the metal family thing and the music family thing gets overused a lot, but that place, it really is a big family of people, and he was definitely a big part of that. We framed a picture of him Sunday at practice and put it on the beam overlooking the stage, so he's always there with us to, watch us play and be there whenever we have shows and practices. So he's always there with us.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
I know for personal experience, he was always, like you said, that smile. I mean, Jesus Christ, it was brighter than the sun when he'd walk in the room. That smile was so big and that luscious red hair. And he was just the biggest, nicest guy. And it's like, oh my God, what's up, dude? You go get a hug from him.
Oh, yeah.
Sit there and talk and he was just the nicest guy. And like I said, I'm still in shock. I just haven't, I don't know what to say. I hope he found peace and yeah, Jesus, good cat.
Yeah, it's definitely definitely kind of hit everybody hard, and it's one of those things, man. It's hard to put into words.
Mhm.
You meet a lot of cool in the music scene. We meet a lot of good friends and people that you may not even talk to all the time. Man, I have a ton of friends that I might not talk to for 3 or 4 months, but then, hey, I'll shoot Seth a message and be like, hey, dude, what's going on? Or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it just,
Yeah.
and we pick right up where we were the last time we were shooting this shit.
Yeah, exactly. And that's literally what you did to me, man. You hit me up. I'm like, "What's up, TJ?" And like you said, you meet so many good people in the music scene. You also meet so many passionate people in the music scene, which is it's kind of nice because I've always said I feel as musicians we're extremely passionate and we do tend to put our emotions and feelings out there a little bit more. And knowing there are other people like that with the same mental processes or deficiencies, whatever you want to call it, we're all in this together. We kind of connect a little bit on a more deeper spiritual level than, I have friends that I've known for 10, 15, 20 years. I may not talk to them for a bit and oh, hi, how you doing? It's good to see him, but you kind of feel like you have to restart that car rolling. And like you said, I can not see you for 6, 7 months. We go to a show together and I'm like, dude, what's going on? And it's high energy. It's good feelings, good vibes. And I feel like that with a lot of the musicians out there. Like once in a while you get that weird, rotten egg, but they have their own path that they take and that's them. But
I found that most of those people weed themselves out of the scene very quickly. 99% of the time,
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, like you guys said, just so many good people in the scene, and the other thing too is bandmates. Like, it's this connection that you always have, even if you were in a band with somebody 20 years ago. Like, I always feel like you really understand somebody well when you're in a band with them after a few years, and you get to know them, their family, and not only that, just kind of their personal outlook on life and their motivations and what makes them tick. And I just like, doesn't matter how much time goes by, I run into like the Loki guys. I was in that band for many years, and those guys are brothers. Whether we're playing music or not, like you just kind of have that eternal bond. So
absolutely no. And the thing is, man, in most cases, no matter how the band ends, whether it's on good terms or bad terms, I think a lot, as the old saying goes, time heals all wounds, man, and when you do, there's been a few bands where certain members have left or whatever, and it wasn't necessarily on good terms. But 5 or 6 years later, you bump into them a show, and all of a sudden it's just like back in the day, and you're talking again, and things are cool, and you kind of reconnect, and then you instantly like reform that bond. There's been very few cases where there's somebody from a band that I was in that I absolutely just refuse to speak with, or don't because they did something so egregious that it's like,
No, I agree, man. Absolutely. And like you said, time does heal all those like little things that you're like, okay, at the time I was really pissed, but some years go by and you just kind of go, man, life is short. We're all kind of working towards hopefully the common good and just trying to be good people and do the best we can. And we all love music. So we all have that in common. Especially in Maine, I think it's like, as you guys know, the musical snow globe gets shaken and everyone kind of falls back down in a different band. You end up running into the same people many times in different places, and you all might as well, learn to love each other and get along, because it's like, this is the music scene, the people that you've known for, forever. So
yeah, for real.
Absolutely, man. And that rolls back to that whole thing, like I was saying about when Jason passed away. That whole thing right there, it really did. It hit me as this, life is too short, man. We're only able to do this, I think, in the capacity that we're doing it even now for so long before, I know nobody ever likes to think of that, down the road, but it's like, I want to be able to do this and not, part of my thing when I got done too, it was like, I've done everything that I wanted to do, man. I got to play a show for 11,000 people. I got to open up for all these cool national acts that I respected. I got to, sign CDs and like have people stop me in the mall because they recognized who I was and wanted me to sign something. It's like, dude, I was like, I got to go on some small tours. I got to, do all this cool shit. And it was like, now that I know that I can't tour, what else do I have to prove? And I kind of got it in my head that it's just time to call it quits. If I can't do that, then I don't, but deep in my heart, it was always still there. So, and it took that moment when Jason passed, when I was like, you know what? I was like, fuck it. Let's see, even if we can't do it like we used to, let's have fun. And it's been great because we're all in the same mindset, now. And it's so much fun. And I think it's really helped in our writing process as well. We're not just rushing to write new songs. We take our time. We always took time before, but we really take our time with new stuff now. And it's like, everybody's a little more to open, throw suggestions around. And it's like, we're not worried so much about, we have to sound like this, or we have to sound like this, or we don't want to stray too far from this, because then we're not going to sound like us and people might not like that,
Right.
I don't care what anybody says. Every band does that shit, to some degree or other, until you get to that place where you're so comfortable with it. You're just like, dude, let's just play what we want. If we want to play something that's, for like ItCon, it's like, do we want to play something that's more like a straight up hardcore song? Or do we want to play something a little more thrashy? Do you want to throw a little death metal in, or a little black metal, or let's just mash it all together? What the hell? Who cares?
See what comes out on the other side. Yeah.
No, exactly. Yeah. I think that has kind of been, Trawl's motto so far is like, play whatever comes out, and don't really worry too bad about what it is. You know what I mean? Like, we've got so many different types of songs at this point, and I'm fine with it. I'm totally fine with it.
I'd say the fact that we have a song about Godzilla, we have a song about getting a phone call that your lady wants to get, nasty with you. We have a song about a bar in the underworld. We have a song from the point of view of a shark. We have a song coming out soon that's from the point of view of, dead pirates on a ghost ship. You know, we just kind of write what we feel like we're having fun with, and we just don't give a shit anymore. It's so liberating when you can just.
With you guys, it definitely shows with the music because you listen to it and you can tell you guys are having a blast.
Thanks, man.
We try, man.
You can't always necessarily tell that from a band, you know, just by listening to them. But just, you know, you could tell you guys are having fun with it. You're doing your thing, man. And that's what I think makes you guys really cool as a band. And,
Thank you.
And, you know, why I dig you guys. That's why I got you on my battle vest, man. You know,
Yes, sir.
on there.
Awesome.
So,
Man. Thank you. Nice.
Yeah, we like to have fun. I think that's, you know, since we started this, we're taking it seriously, but we're not really taking it seriously.
absolutely. I mean, you've played with Itcon a few times.
Yeah.
And you see how we are on stage, dude. We're super serious about it, but man, we make a lot of stupid jokes and crack, you know, and stuff on stage. That's just, it's fun for us, you know. We don't take it so seriously that we can't have fun, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we, you know, we take it seriously because we want to play well in terms of, like, you know, practice our songs, make sure that what we do is coming across in a way where we're proud of it, but we don't take ourselves too seriously. Like, we just, you know,
that's
just kind of have fun.
I'd say one thing I remember, it was a long time ago, and I can't remember specifically who it was, but one of the best pieces of advice I was given becoming a musician was play like you don't give a fuck what other people think of it. Because honestly, if you like it and you're having fun, who cares what they think? If they don't like it, that's their problem. It's not yours. So you just play like it doesn't matter. And honestly, you got to have fun. And if you're not having fun, then something's wrong, and you got to fix that. So that's like one.
Your tribe of people will grab it. You know, your tribe of fans per se is going to gravitate towards you for being genuine and doing that. I would rather have 50 fans like that than 300 that are just there because you're the popular thing of the moment. You know what I mean? It's like,
true. Yeah,
people
very
that
true.
are just as passionate as you are about what you're doing. I mean, there's people that I have been, you know, that are fans of Itcon. Like, we started in 2008 and played to 2011. We still have some people that were fans of the band back then that still come out, you know, to see us play. And it's so
Nice.
cool that, you know, they, like, when they found out we were playing again, like, they freaked out. It was like, oh my God, I can't believe you guys are playing again. I never thought this was going to happen, you know, type thing. And it was,
That's awesome.
It's really cool to have that connection with people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I would say that's my a piece of advice for anyone starting a band or getting into playing music live. Just play like no one, you don't care. Have fun. That's the biggest thing.
Your word of advice for not taking yourself too seriously and just going with it, I think, and this would be my advice, my little advice to anybody, you know, that's starting out. I've always been able to scream, you know, and do the heavy vocals for as long as I could remember. I always thought I had an okay singing voice, but I was so self-conscious of my singing voice on stage that I didn't put it in songs, you know. For the longest time, I didn't do any clean singing.
Yeah.
And, you know, finally when I was like, you know what? Fuck it. If I'm not perfect, tough shit. People will get over it. Most people aren't going to give a shit. I'm the only one that's probably going to care if I go off for half a note somewhere, or, you know, I flub this a little bit. Most people don't give a shit. And it's like that really, in the last 3 years, I feel like I've grown more as a vocalist in the last 3 years than I had probably in the previous 20, you know, playing out and being in a band. And it shows, because now if I think a singing part will work on a part and it fits the song, then I'll do clean vocals. I mean, I'm not going to lie, you know, and a lot of people that have seen us live have noticed this. The new Itcon album has more clean vocals on it than anything we have ever done.
Yeah.
You know, it's still not a ton, but for us it is, you know. It's, by the way, we just finished up recording Friday, so we're
awesome. Nice.
Yeah, I'm
Congrats,
so
that's great.
about that, man.
Can't
Seeing our
wait, man.
last album got, released right at the height of COVID, and we never got to have a CD release party, and it was kind of weird. So we're really looking forward to like getting this out and actually be able to do a proper CD release, and really,
Awesome.
be able to do all the stuff that goes along with that.
Right. And then we kind of had that same situation ish, because when we released Shark Pinata, it was mid-pandemic. We kind of shut everything down, had to get a new guitarist kind of up to speed, got him in and started writing some stuff. And then it was like, hey, he can record us. Let's start recording an EP. And then, one thing came to the next. And then all of a sudden we have this 5-song EP, 7 songs if you bought it at Bull Moose. And it was like, okay, how do we release this, safely for our fans, but at the same time kind of make something of the fanfare that you usually get when you have a CD release party.
Right.
And Seth, the fucking genius he is when it comes to marketing, he came up with all these, I call them schemes, but there's quotes there for people listening. But he came up with all
here's the pyramid, right?
Yeah.
Listen,
so there's me, and then you two, and you bring 3 guys, and
they start working for you, and you invite this friend to dinner, and they're all
yeah.
But
he came
how
up
do you
with
feel
all
about
these,
scented candles? You like scented candles? All right, that's part of it.
He came up with all these ideas, and then it turned into like, we're gonna, do some, we'll do a single or 2. We're gonna release it through Bull Moose exclusively, and then we worked with Bull Moose and all this stuff, and it was really cool with the thought pattern and process that we released it with a little bit of fanfare, not as much as we wanted to when it came to like a CD release show. You get your friends' bands, or maybe you get like a big DJ to come be the MC for the night, and you get a cool venue and lights and sound and fog machines and strippers and hookers and
It doesn't the fan a Motley Crue party.
Yeah, right. But it was like the fanfare wasn't necessarily what we wanted it to be, but we did it a little differently, and releasing it strictly exclusively through Bull Moose. I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks, and then we put it on digitally.
Yeah. It had a cool moment, and I think it was just the right time, because it was just before anything was really happening yet for shows. So no shows were really booked and happening. So when we released it, we put a pre-order up for 3 weeks before it came out, and it got a little traction because people are like, well, we're not out there, spending money on shows or doing this or that. So I think it was really a product of just the timing that it came out, because 3 months later there were shows everywhere, and I feel like it probably would have gotten lost in the noise of everything that was going on. So we got really lucky in that respect, and I was blown away by the reception and the folks who picked it up. It's still very thankful for that. And
I thought the Trawl bait bag thing was genius, dude. That was like, I was like, that is awesome. I love that. Matter of fact, I remember asking you at the show you played with us in August, be like, dude, I need to get me one of them bait bag, things.
Yeah, he's hitting me up on my other band, when I was in Devil's Night Out, like we're playing up, and he's like, hey, I need one of those Trawl bait bags. I'm like, I don't have that merch with me, sorry. Like, shit.
Nice. Well, dude, I'll send you a bait bag. I just put out version 2.0, so I'll send you the new one. It's got new stickers, new. I have different stuff for
shark
all of
tooth
them.
in it.
There's a shark tooth in it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
We're gonna keep it going. We're gonna, every, maybe 6 months or so, put out a new edition of it and put like all new stuff in it. That way, there's always something fresh in the bait bag.
Yeah, and I feel like we get to a certain point, like let's say bait bag version 7, maybe we'll come out with the chum bucket, and it's a collection of all of them.
Yes, yeah.
See, there you go. Mark that down, man. Put that in the idea box. And
we got a trademark,
Chum bucket holiday pack.
Exactly. See,
yeah.
Nice.
That's where you also include the 3-song Christmas EP.
Oh, man. Dude, we got to do that too. I would love to do that.
Well, we have been talking about a couple covers we've been thinking of, so maybe we'll do like a small, 3-4 song cover kind of thing, and
Oh,
you know,
man.
that's a free download with the purchase of the the chum bucket.
Nice. All right, we got to do this.
We our whole thing during the pandemic with EtCon was kind of similar to you guys, really. We took like the first 2 months when everything got locked down. We were like, we didn't see each other. We talked every day, but we didn't, see each other. And then we were like, our jam space is huge. We can pretty much practice safely without being right near each other the whole time.
Yeah.
So we started practicing, but then when we just got back to practicing, we lost a guitar player. So in the middle of the pandemic, we're trying to find a new guitarist, which, I think a lot of people were very hesitant to try out. And we tried a few people out and they did a great job. And then Luke came in and it was one of those moments, and I think we've all had them being in bands where somebody comes in and starts playing and you're just like, this is the dude. It's just that weird instant vibe. The vibe check hit and he's killing the songs. We asked him to learn 2. He learned all of Requiem and our 2 other demos that we had up, online without us asking him, and just killed it. And we were like, dude, you want to be in the band?
That's awesome.
So, we got really lucky. And then we spent the rest of the pandemic just writing, and we wrote, I think we had a couple of new ones that, we really hadn't played out much, but we were getting there on them. And then, we've written 7 or 8 more, and then we have bits and pieces of a few other ones. We had so many songs that when we got ready to record, it was like, we do have enough to do a full-length album.
Nice.
But it's like, financially, we really can't afford to do a full length. So let's just do an EP and pick the 5 songs we think are the strongest.
Right.
That was, I've never had to do that in a band where we've had enough material to actually be able to go through and be like, which it was different because it was like, everybody's got their favorites.
Right.
So it's kind of a little bit of a give and take, okay, I love this one and I know you love this one, and we're all kind of,
everyone gets like one pick,
So, but it worked out really good, man. I'm super proud of this, how this EP is coming out, and I haven't even heard the final mixes or anything yet. So it's
nice.
That's awesome. It's definitely it's the next level of ItCon. Luke definitely brought a lot new to the table because of his guitar playing. We also just recently got a new bass player. So,
nice.
There's a little bit of changes, but those guys have fit seamlessly into the band and kind of brought their own things. And I really think we still sound like ItCon, but there's just those new layers that weren't there before, that are now a little more. So
it's a new evolution, because a lot of times when you get, a band, the members and you've seen them a few times, and then maybe it's not a founding member, but it's a guy who's been in the band long enough to be considered a founding member. He leaves, you get a new person, they learn the stuff, but they might do stuff a little differently. And it's their flavor. It's their, technicality or their skill or their special sauce they put on certain guitar licks or drum fills or bass lines that changes. And then it evolves the band a little bit more. So you can do, we've never done syncopated this before. Let's do that now because we can. And it turns that you're not changing the band. You're still the same band. You're just evolving, and, new people bring new toys. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really think with us right now, we've been really lucky as a band where we've constantly had really good musicians in the band, and but right now I feel like this is the most all on the same page that ItCon has ever been, as far as we are all on the same page, nice. and it makes it a little easier when we're writing, because everybody kind of knows, just instinctively knows what we're trying to do or trying to go with. And there honestly has been a few times with some of our newer stuff where it's like, dude, we just jammed on it, and maybe the second or third pass through, we pretty much had the song down because everybody is just on the same vibe. it feels awesome. It really does.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah, we've gotten lucky a few times, and especially in like the early days with that kind of stuff. I know Car Chardon was like that. We
That was an
literally,
accident. That was an accident that came to just
yeah,
gold.
it was I had like my Zoom handheld recorder that I'd bring to practice just to like hit record, and whatever ideas come out, I'll go through them later, and I'll send the guys a Dropbox of what we did, and we literally just, that one was almost the first time through how we ended up playing it, like pretty close.
Yeah.
It was like, holy shit. But there's other songs where, it takes friggin' several months to get it right. But
we
it's
have one song we've literally been trying to get like where we need it to be for 6 months.
yeah,
We
crazy.
just can't. It's there, but it's like I think everybody kind of still feels like there's just something not quite there with it, that it's like, so it's almost like at this point we've kind of taken a break from it. Not that we're giving up on the song, but it's like, let's just put this in the box for now. Maybe a little while down the road, we'll bring it back out when we haven't been beating it in our heads over and over and over. And maybe that something that it needs will pop,
Yeah. There's a song like that on our new one that we had shelved. We totally shelved it. It was what we thought of like, this isn't really a good idea, or it just didn't come out the way we wanted it. So we kind of put it on the shelf, and then Justin had a whole new arrangement that he came up with that not even with that song in mind, just literally something he wrote. And Sean went, shit, I've got lyrics for that, because it made you think of that song that we shelved.
Yeah.
And
well, and we took, I mean, the vocal melody and everything from that completely got rewritten, because what we originally wrote for it was weird. It was definitely funky for sure, but Justin's new lines were, I was like, wait a second, hold on.
And then it just clicked like that. It was almost like it was supposed to be written that way. We just didn't know it yet. It was, sometimes you can come up with a new idea and it just unlocks something you didn't think was possible before. You're like, holy shit, I love that.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Shell from the band Stillborn Condition, and you are listening to the TrawlCast.
So speaking of writing, we actually already knew that you were kind of a horror writer of a few novels and short stories under your belt. Who are some of your influences as like a writer, and what was your like favorite story to write to date?
Well, my influences are, Stephen King, obviously. He's the greatest to ever do it as far as I'm concerned. I'm not saying that just being from Maine, but the dude is incredible.
Actually, I think it is in our contract that if you're from Maine, you have to say that, but that's we'll edit that out.
There's actually another author from Maine named Rick Atala that was another fantastic author that I really liked and read a lot of books. R.A. Salvatore was another one. I was big, huge fan of the Driss series. The Clerical Quintet, the Crystal Shard, all that stuff. Clive Barker.
Yeah.
Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman are another ones that I'm a huge, huge fan of. Their Deathgate cycle is like one of my all-time favorite series. Then there was a series of books that I found out later on weren't written by the same guy. It was a pen name. Was the Deathland series by James Axler. There's like 200 books in the series. They used to put out like 4 or 5 a year, but it was all different people writing them, but they all had the same kind of tone. And I always had trouble reading as a kid, and it wasn't until I was in like 4th or 5th grade where I really started getting into reading, and that was like the Chronicles of Narnia and like the Hardy Boys and stuff like that. Then I kind of worked my way into more like the fantasy, and like I said, 6th grade I discovered Stephen King, and it was all over from there. I was looking for horror all the time after that, but as far as like stuff that I have written, my favorite of all my novels that I have written, I have 3 full-length novels, 2 novellas, and probably a dozen or so short stories that have been published. Which you can find on Amazon. If anybody wants to go to Amazon, just type in Thomas Washburn Jr. and all my stuff will pop up. But there was a story called Mr. Witcher that I wrote, and it kind of takes place in 2 parts. It's and I never really even give this a thought till after I wrote it, but it's very like it-esque in the fact that the first half of the book is really when they were kids, and then the second half of the book is like later on when they're adults.
Nice.
Type thing. But it's a lot of it's kind of not necessarily stuff that happened to me or anything, but it's like areas, and there's a lot of things that I incorporated from my childhood and growing up in that, and like things me and my friends used to do, and things like that. And I really, really enjoyed writing that one, and it to me, it's the one that is the most me, I guess, of all the books I've written.
I know Stephen King has done that before, where he's incorporated some of his, and actually a lot of, thinking back on it, a lot of horror personas have done that. Like I know, like I said, Stephen King did it in a few of his books, just kind of some stuff that happened, maybe not necessarily to him, but he was alive and it was like in his town and it was news that happened. So he heard about it, but he didn't really register until later on. And then he started writing this, and something like kind of trickled in from that news or that event. And he's like, holy shit. And he researched it again. He goes, that I was literally like a street away from when that happened. Or I know Wes Craven, when he made Freddy Krueger, he based it on a childhood bully of his. So I think that's, when you write horror, sometimes the best horror can come from personal experiences or, something that may have happened in your town or, general area. So I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. One of the old writing cliches is write what you know, and
Right.
It's true, because you can draw those experiences and just, you may have to change a few names and some slight details and stuff, but it's there.
Minor details.
And for anybody that's interested, I also wrote a nonfiction book. It's called Confessions of a Boring White Guy.
Nice.
It's like I was in the process of like almost like keeping a journal where every day I just write down like random thoughts, whatever I was thinking about that day. It wasn't even necessarily like anything serious. Some of it's very serious. Some of it's really funny. There's a whole bit piece in there about ninja squirrels.
Nice.
Things like that. There's also poetry and some song lyrics in there, and some of it's just like observations about stuff. And I did that almost every day for a year. And then at the end of it, I was like, I never had really intended to like release it or anything. But then I was going back through and kind of reading it, and I was like, I think other people would get a kick out of this, or maybe could take something away from it. So that was really like the last bigger-ish release I put out, and that was a few years ago. But I'd kind of been taking a bit of a break from writing when I started doing the band stuff again, because there's only so much time in a day. But I have kind of been pecking away at a few new short stories here and there.
Nice.
I just had a short story published back in, I think, August. For this is the first thing I've had released in quite a while, that come out in Northern Frights magazine, which is a Maine-based horror quarterly like horror publication that gets put out. You can find that on Amazon. It's all Maine-based writers.
Oh,
And
cool.
It's very cool because there is a lot of talent in the state of Maine. So
Nice. That's cool. I didn't even know about that. That's awesome.
I think a lot of people forget that Maine even is a state 90% of the time.
We're part of Canada as far as most people.
Yeah.
So,
We're Canada light.
This is Eric from Black Rabbit Holes, and you are listening to TrawlCast.
So definitely wanted to mention your podcast that you've had for quite a long time, Average Joe's Drive-In. I know you've had over 120 episodes,
Yep.
and it's largely based on film and talking about movies, right?
Yeah, mostly. It was one of those things like I always tried to have people from because I'm in this really weird spot in my life where I know a lot of very talented people from different artistic backgrounds, whether it's writing, film, music, graphics design, just different things.
Yeah.
So when I started Average Joe's, what I wanted it to be was like I want to bring all these cool people on that I know, talk a little bit about what they do and their stuff too, but eventually bring it around to movies. Let's talk about movies, type
Yeah.
thing. So I kind of tied those things together and I did that. I've been taking a little bit of a break from that just because, again, like I said, I have been so insanely busy for the last 7 months that I just haven't had the time to really do it. But it's funny you mention it because I've been like, all right, I need to bring this back, but I don't think I can do it in quite the capacity that I was doing it before because I had episodes that were 2.5, 3 hours on the regular, and I was doing them every week. So,
Right. What have been some of your like favorite episodes so far?
I had the guys on from the Slim Duffy Show, which is a Maine-based YouTube like skit program. Think of it as like a Maine version of like the Trailer Park Boys, but more dark humor.
Yeah.
More Maine humor is what you mean.
Yeah. They actually, if you've seen the video for our song, Icon's song, We Sleep, that is the guys from the Slim Duffy Show play all the characters in that. And we're basically reenacting They Live because that's what that song is about.
Nice.
So we kind of, Matt and I threw Matt Enos, who plays Slim in the show. He's the director and one of the writers, have known each other since Matt was in high school,
Nice.
He used to follow us in the Divine Ruin and a bunch of bands around and was always filming stuff. And then he started doing this and we reconnected. So he's a big horror movie nerd. We both love John Carpenter's like my favorite director of all time. And I love They Live is one of my all-time favorite Carpenter films. So I was like, I wrote this song. What if we do a mashup between the Slim Duffy Show and They Live?
Nice.
And he's like, I'm in. So we started tossing ideas back and forth, and we kind of got it down. And I love that video, man. That video still cracks me up every time I watch it. I'll still throw it on every once in a while, just be like, I love this.
What's up, my friends? This is Vinny from Diana Drive, and you are listening to TrawlCast. Everything is gone in your hometown. You're on now. It's a ghost town. Everything is gone in your hometown. You're alone now. It's a ghost town.
Well, this week's What the Fuck question, Seth and TJ. I can see Seth's face. He's like, God damn it.
He never tells me what it is, so I'm always like, here we go.
All right. So this week's, it's because of TJ, and I know how much of a horror aficionado he is. You're zapped into a horror movie as a character. What movie and what character are you now?
Ooh. Man, that is damn, dude. Okay, I'm gonna throw this one out. And you mentioned the movie earlier, and I know the guy goes out in the movie, but I'm fucking Spoon from Dog Soldiers, buddy.
Nice.
Because Spoon is such I just love Spoon's sense of humor and is just, he was just, and he goes out in such a fucking like, I hope I give you the shit,
Yeah,
like,
it's a definite.
I was like, I'm gonna probably go out in any horror movie that I pick because but it's so I would have to be Spoon from Dogs.
That's a great choice, and especially just that's such a good movie, man.
Definitely my top 5 werewolf movies ever, dude.
And I'm gonna I haven't. My son has not watched that. My oldest, going back to Magic just for a second, he has a Werewolf Magic the Gathering Commander deck, and he loves werewolves and stuff, and I have not made him watch that movie yet, so we're gonna fix that.
I actually have one for this one.
Okay, here we go.
I think I would have to be Ash from Army of Darkness.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just like, I mean, obviously I love Evil Dead 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Army of Darkness was the first one I ever saw when I was a kid because
Yeah.
because I think, Evil Dead 1 and 2 were like a bit more niche, a bit less like, definitely if you were a kid, like your parents, like my parents would not let me watch those two, but Army of Darkness was okay because I feel like even though it had some, moments where like a kid would have to like, turn their head or whatever, like it had less, it was a little bit more mainstream, I guess.
It was a little less grotesque.
It wasn't so much of a gore fest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was just always so cool, a million one-liners, shop smart, shop S-smart with the 30-30 and, the boomstick and just like, good, bad, I'm the guy with the, like all the one-liners. And he was just cool. You're just like, I want to be Ash. I don't care, like cut my hand off. I want a chainsaw for an arm. That's cool. So anyways, I think I got to,
Yeah, I think it'll surprise people that you didn't pick Bruce from Jaws.
Oh yeah, that's true. It's like,
yeah,
I'm
not going to pick him either. So
I was assuming you meant human.
No, I'm saying anything. Because mine actually, Seth, you probably will recognize or understand it. TJ, you'll know it, but I would be Sam from Trick or Treat.
Oh, Sam is the coolest, man. He's
I love Sam. You can't see it in the podcast, but I have a metric shit ton of action figures and dolls, and I have so many different things as Sam in my bedroom. Literally, as you walk in my bedroom, there's his lollipop. It's hanging on my wall.
Nice.
So I would be Sam from Trick or Treat because he's the spirit of Halloween, and I love Halloween, and I may or may not want to stab some people with a lollipop.
Nice.
Man, thank you guys for having me on, man. This has been a lot of fun.
Oh, for sure. Thank you coming on, man. We appreciate the hell out of it.
Thank you so much, man.
Now, are there any plans for ItCon for the future here? I mean, you've given us a little bit.
We got the new CD coming out. We've got 3 shows booked right now. I can only talk about one of them. You know about one of them. But one of the shows is April 26th in Chesterville. We're playing a show with like 7 other bands, man. It's going to be a fun kind of house party deal.
Nice.
Then we'll be in the next few weeks. We're going to be making an announcement about our CD release party, and then we have another big show coming up later in the spring summer. So far, and we're starting to show offers are starting to come in. So I think it's going to be a busy summer.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, TJ, thanks so much for joining us. It was a blast to talk to you, man, and just catch up, man.
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome, man. Thank you again. Ladies and gentlemen, TJ, he's got a lot to say. Check out his podcast, Average Joe's Drive-In. Bunch of episodes there. You want to talk, listen to about entertainment related type stuff. ItCon, we'll put some stuff in the show notes for people to find y'all and share the love. And again, TJ, thanks, man. We appreciate having you on. This has been a great conversation.
Oh, absolutely, man. Again, thank you guys very much. I hope we get to play a show very soon together, boys. It would be good to catch up and hang out in person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you guys for tuning into TrawlCast this week. If you like what you hear, we are available on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and many, many more. So hit that subscribe button. As soon as a new episode drops, it will be there, ready, and waiting for you to hit play. We're also on YouTube. All you got to do is go to youtube.com/TrawlPortlandME. We post music, videos, even the podcast there. Again, that's youtube.com/TrawlPortlandME. Want to find us on your favorite social media site? All you have to do is search for @TrawlBand. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Again, that's @TrawlBand. Would you like to send us a voice message? Maybe hear your voice on the podcast? All you got to do is go to anchor.fm/TrawlCast. Have fun with it. We want to hear from you. Maybe you'll even get to hear your question or voice on the podcast. Want to get yourself a sweet sticker pack from Trawl and TrawlCast? All you got to do is cast a line to us at trawlband@gmail.com. Make sure to include your name and mailing address and a question you'd like to hear us answer. That way, we can send you some sweet Trawl swag. For more information about Trawl and all things Trawl related, all you got to do is go to www.trawlband.com. It's the website. We post everything there. Again, thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of TrawlCast. We hope you enjoyed it. My name's Sean Matthews.
I'm Seth McClellan.
And this has been TrawlCast. We will see you next time.